Welcome back to Collectability. I am so pleased to share with you some of our new incoming inventory. So forgive my brevity in the introduction. I have so much to show you, 14 watches, and we just have a few minutes. So let's start with a Collectability favorite, a reference 802 coin watch. I sold all the coin watches I had last year, but I'm so glad to kick off 2024 with this coin watch from 1962. This has its extract from the archive confirming it was made in 1962 and originally sold in 1971. And it has some other surprises. If you look closely at the dial, you'll see that it has a buyer retail signature and these beautiful painted Breguet numerals. So if you don't have a coin watch, here's your next chance to own one of these important bits of history. Next, another piece that is a first for Collectability, and actually the first time I've ever seen, a reference 874 with this hand-engraved Calatrava center. Not only is that engraved in the blued gold, look at the beautiful border along the edge of this dial with the Patek Philippe signature and Genève at 6 o'clock. This is a work of art, and we can't wait to get the extract from the archives for this particular piece. It's most likely from the late 80s, early 90s, but we're going to know very soon. Next, going back 100 years, we have a quarter repeater Hunter case with this beautiful factory confirmed enamel monogram. Absolutely beautiful. The next piece I'd like to show you is a reference 5023 in yellow gold. If you look closely at this dial, it has a little surprise for you, a Tiffany signature. Rarely have I had 5023s, and I've never had one with a Tiffany dial before. These are still remarkably well priced, and as the trend to smaller watches continues, this particular watch is ready for your wrist. Next, I have this beautiful diamond set cocktail watch from the 1940s. This is a reference 425 in platinum. And the weight of the watch historically is equally important because 425s were the rectangular watch of choice during this war period. During that time, to have a 425 in platinum with diamonds was one of the most expensive watches you could buy for a time only. And it was a Patek Philippe signature design for over 20 years. And here I have one of my favorite new additions to our inventory. And frankly, I want to keep this watch because this is a reference 3429 in white gold. Launched in 1960 with the caliber 27-460. This automatic beauty from the mid-20th century is something that is absolutely stunning to have on your wrist. Now look how this dial has aged. It has this beautiful tone. And together with this blue strap, it just really works. And for those with that eagle eye, you'll notice that double P crown, which indicates it is an automatic movement. And this mid-20th century icon could be yours for a very nice price. So visit Collectability to buy it now. Now, moving ahead a few decades to the late 1980s, early 90s, I have a piece that you may know about, or you might not know the whole story, because it is a reference 3734. Automatic golden circle. But if you look closely at this dial above 6 o'clock, you're going to see that it has a signature in Arabic. And this is the name Hafez Assad from Syria. Now, this 1980s bit of history is quite important because it's only the second known example. The previous example that is already known sold for a whopping 53,000 Swiss francs in 2020. And this second piece known could be bought for a much lower price. And I think for you to have a piece that has this important Middle Eastern provenance and this amazing history, it's part of the Patek Philippe heritage, and it's not to be missed and is available now for purchase. For those of you that follow my personal Instagram, you know that I'm John Reardon 570, and for good reason, because the 570 is my favorite reference. And it's rare that we have 570s on the Collectability platform because number one, I want to keep them. And number two, I can't find examples that are good enough to share with you, but this is priced well, it's aged to perfection, and it is an example from 1963 that could be yours. It is a wearable work of art with this beautifully aging dial, an incredibly crisp case. So for more information, visit Collectability, and this can be your next watch on your wrist in the very near future. Now, within this box, I have a reference I have never seen before. It is a reference 3803 line 2 in white gold. Now, it's an incredibly heavy bracelet watch, and it's something that I haven't seen before, and frankly, the world hasn't seen before, because it's the first 3803 bracelet watch in white gold to have surfaced. Now, I can't overestimate how incredible this bracelet feels. It's exquisite. The design from this time period in the 60s and 70s of bracelets, they made some of the best bracelets that history has ever seen. But there's another little secret I'd like to reveal with this incredible 3803, and that is before me. This is the original certificate of origin from Patek Philippe, Japan, which fully documents this watch in all its glory from the 1970s. Here we have the certificate itself. We have the Japanese service papers and registration card, and the beautiful gold tassels, which were the signature sales point when you bought a watch in Tokyo during this time period. So it's fun to have this mint set of papers to go with this beautiful watch. Next, the reference 3605. If you've had a reference 3738 on your wrist, or maybe even a 5738, you know what an ellipse feels like to wear. But if you've ever had a 3605 on your wrist, you know what the large jumbo size feels like. And this signature design from the late 1970s is a significant 33 by 38 millimeters of ellipse on your wrist. And of course, it has the original ellipse buckle to boot. So a 3605 could be yours with its beautiful original blue dial if you visit Collectability now. Now the last four watches are complicated pieces I'd like to share with you. And the first is an officer style watch, which is from 1999. And this is one of the first reference 5054s to have left the factory. This was in production from 1999 all the way to 2005. And it's very distinctive for a number of reasons. First, the hinged case back, which reveals the 240 caliber. And the dial itself has that eccentric moon phase with date, and of course the up-down indicator. To own a 5054 is to express interest in the history of Patek Philippe with this officer style case, but it's also really forward-looking, because at the end of the 20th century, these particular pieces were a design that Patek Philippe never saw before, and the small complication of the moon phase and the power reserve really looks great on the wrist, and is frankly quite useful and functional. When I think of a useful complication, I'm borrowing a term that Patek Philippe used in 1996 as the, quote, useful complication of the annual calendar. When the 5035 was released in the late 1990s, it was something the world has never seen before. It was the world's first annual calendar wristwatch. And speaking of first, this is the first time I've had a platinum 5035 on the Collectability platform. You often see the rose, the yellow, and the white, but you never see platinum. It's the rarest of all 5035 colors. And it's quite expensive. When the platinum 5035 was discontinued in 2005, the retail price was $40,000. And here I have an example complete with box, papers, hang tag, and we're asking even less than the original retail from 2005. So if you'd like to own a piece of important history, incredible value, and frankly useful, then the 5035P is for you. Speaking of value, I'm going to fast forward to a watch that's quite recent. This is from about 6-7 years ago. It's a 5205, and it is in white gold with the two-tone sector dial. Now this piece is naked, and if you don't know that terminology, it means it has no box and it has no papers. And what that means to you is incredible value. You will not find a cheaper example of a 5205 on the internet today. And I don't expect this to last long on our site because this is such a wearable work of art. And to be able to have one of these on your wrist for such an attractive price is tempting. So please visit the site now for the opportunity to purchase this 5205 in white. Now, last but not least, I have something extraordinarily special to share with you. For the first time, I have a reference 3450 to share with my friends in the world of collectability. People often ask me, what's the best value in high-end vintage Patek Philippe collecting? And my answer is always, immediately, the 3448 or the 3450. Now, the 3450 is even more rare than the 3448. Only 230 examples were made, and it was a very short amount of time. It was from 1982 to 1985. And here, it's my pleasure to present to you this incredible, wonderfully preserved reference 3450. It's nicknamed the Padalone because it has kind of that frying pan design. The 3450 has larger, flatter bezel than the 3448, and these proportions make the watch look much different than its predecessor. The 3450 on the modern wrist is something that just has to be tried on, and when you see the sharpness of the lugs, and I hope the camera is catching how incredibly crisp this watch is, it's the kind of piece that belongs on your wrist to wear, to enjoy, and also belongs in some of the most important collections in the world. So my recommendation is run, don't walk, to own a 3450 because it's truly an opportunity of a lifetime to secure these while they're still relatively attractively priced. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to Collectability on YouTube, Instagram, and also TikTok. And also, don't forget to please enjoy the hunt.